Okay, Rebecca. Hello. We are very happy to host AUGE NEXT, the project, European Cooperation Project, supported by Creative Europe. And one of the activities here in Riga, which is a residency by 3 Ukrainian artists. So the two have come here in person, and the third one is still in Kiev. But the whole residency project is about 6 months long. So this is more like a short visit with organized with 3 encounters. So to meet local people, to meet young people, to meet artists and emerging artists. And so far we have been so far you have been already in some of places. You have seen quite a lot, right? So you have been visiting our National Library. So as our festival exhibition, you have seen Census Augmented Reality outside, and then you visited Liepāja, where you met also with the students there and were watching around. So today is this our your short visit final presentation, and I would like to introduce our fellowship artists. So it's Oleksandr Sirous,
Yes.
Dmytro Tentiuk,
Yes.
and Danil Siabro.
Siabro. Yeah.
Okay. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
So yeah, good to see you in a virtual space. Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, I hope you will briefly talk also very shortly about your background, and then this time, because you already have presented what you do, what is your artistic interest. So here you will be presenting more the work which you have proposed for this residency, and how you will develop, so then we can have some ways.
Yeah, thank you a lot. Thank you, RIXC, for in general inviting us here and showing lots of the cool places, exhibitions, other cities, and all of the things. Get a lot of inspiration. So thanks. My name is Alex. I'm new media artist from Ukraine, basically from Kharkiv. Teacher, sometimes curator, artist, mostly focused on the topics of simulations, game engines, bioart, biohacking, and decentralized theories and systems. That is kind of currently a main research of this project. So it shortly about me.
Yeah. My name is Dmytro Tentiuk. I'm an artist, mostly focusing on new media. Also work as a musician, and also I'm a postgraduate student in National Academy of Fine Arts and Architecture in Kiev, where I'm working on my PhD thesis about Ukrainian media.
Yeah, maybe Danya could say a few words. If you're Danya, do you hear us?
Yep, sure. Hi.
Just a sentence about yourself.
Yeah, hi all. I'm an interdisciplinary artist, programmer, and teacher from Mykolaiv, Ukraine, living in Bucha near the Kiev, Ukraine. I'm fascinated by the historical, cinematic, fictional, science, gamified, and decentralized technology. Often look at tools from different perspectives and enjoy exploring them in relation to a wider context. There are no clear boundaries or themes in work I do. There are various social and history projects, reflection on partitional problem, reflection on the meaning of human existing in the world, the mission for human and human interaction with the world, and so on. Often in collaboration, my work takes the form of video, installation, and audio-visual performances, experimenting with a variety of new media and technologies, exploring the relationship with the digital world and the real that become thinner every day. since
think it's enough
2021,
for,
I have been. Yep.
yeah,
Sorry.
like, because it's just a few sentences in general, because as it's not that much time to spend.
Okay.
Because it's super short, and all of us as members of Audio Studios, like community media artists based in Kiev in Ukraine, and most of the artists is still there, and our founder of the studio is on frontline now. So it's very important for us to share our knowledge, our different sides of this knowledge. So yeah, we are super happy to still continue, at least some of us could still continue to do this. So our previous works was very connected to working with data, with databases, with processing information, and searching for the different options and possibilities how we could translate data in a poetic way, an artistic way, visual way. We had lots of tons of works. And maybe I will just say a few words about the research that bring me to the ideas that was proposed for this fellowship, which named Decentraland. Like the work that we are researching now for this fellowship is the name is Decentraland. But my research in this topic was started at the beginning of the invasion, when I realized the importance of these topics, because the invasion is a kind of like rising up the problematics of centralized, powerful systems that is impossible to confront. So I started to think about decentralization of not only physical but also like informational resources, our social medias, because like first weeks and months of the invasion, Russia was attacked us with like disinformation, with their websites, lots of spam. They flew thousands of gigabytes of fake information to just do anything to invade us in any possible senses. So like for me, it became like important research, and my first work on stable connections, it was a performance that I did in Antwerp in Belgium, was about making decentralized links like through the gamification experience and applications that visitors could download and participate in. Metaphor of a garden. It's like was a digital web space that was as a garden, and participants could interact as a different natural species. Shortly about this project later, if some of you will be interested, I could show or share the links about it. And all of us, our practices has changed a lot since the beginning of the invasion. Like Dma's practice changed also his works. All of our works and practices changed since the beginning of the invasion. The topics and focus also changed. I had worked since the beginning of the invasion also about databases, about bombings in Ukraine in the three main cities like Kyiv, Kharkiv, and Lviv that I made in Belgium. The prototype of this work also was made there, and it was named like beehives, noise in beehives. For me, it was like a noise and voice of the Ukrainian cities that was trying to tell about himself in a way of like musician partiture. Like I translate the different information about bombings in the cities, like a time, day, position into the MIDI notes. And then I made a kind of musical composition from it for each of the cities and put it inside of the beehive. So for me, it was like important branch of my practice, and this is important branch for all of the Ukrainian artists, like conscious Ukrainian artists, to document the Russian war crimes in a way of like artistic, in an artistic way. So it was also one of the way how we worked with data, how I'm continuing to work with data, documenting the crimes and translating them into the art objects. Yeah, it's a bit of because I translate all of the data and captured it in Excel sheets. Then for me, it was visually easier to understand it as a MIDI note. So I also compared it to the MIDI. And the work Decentraland that firstly was exhibited in Kiev in Tentiuk Art Center as a part of the big exhibition there. I will just show you a bit of videos, documentations from the project to better understand what it is. It's like without video, this first video, it's without sound, sorry. And the idea of this work was to raise awareness of data and make it as transparent as it just possible for people, because for lots of people, the data is something that is like very blurred what is going on with it in between, like when we're sending some data or receiving the data and what is going on in the servers, what the algorithms is doing with this data and how they use this data to fight us, to cover us with ideas that they want to cover. Like it could be companies, it could be governments, it could be like somebody who has this power to force us, like people who don't know how it works and don't have that enough power and interest to deal with data. So like in this work, I collect the personal data of the visitors whom I also explained what they gonna, what it's gonna be happen with their data. So it's like was fingerprints, eye scan, sound, some kind of tests that people also followed there. And then all of this information was translated into the digital environment of digital nature. And we made like logic in which we kind of like translate all of this data based on the data into different species, like mushrooms, jellyfish, and so on. So we made some categories in which way we could translate this data into one species or another one. And also for me, it was an idea to say that to protect our data, we could cover it in a kind of specific form, like that we could cover, for example, your photo, your personal information into the digital character of a game. So it's like a bit harder to steal it from you because you cover it, you kind of like code it, and it's harder to steal it. So yeah, it's how the collecting of the data was looked like when the visitors was giving their data to the system. Yep. It's sensors and the thing that we used, like the cheapest cameras, like a micro cameras, to make to capture in the finger or eye or whatever. So we didn't use like specific devices. We just used some specific software to analyze this data. So it was also a point that we didn't use some specific expensive and unachievable devices. And this is like this environment that was changed also in a way of how information from visitors was collaborate with each other, because all of these species has their behavior based on the input data, and they could react and act in this space and change the space, like weather needs. Yeah, and also it's needs to be another decentralized, kind of like another servers who would be like part of the decentralized environment that needed to be hosted by different institutions in Europe and connected with Kiev institution where this work was exhibited. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's enough. yeah, this is a bit of a shim that is showing how the data and processing of the data is working. It's not maybe that visible. So the main idea is to collect the data from visitors and from the environment to then translate it into the species like animals, insects, and translate the data from the environment into the landscape. And the idea was to connect local server in Kyiv with another servers, which was working with based on the same logic, but in the different institutions in Europe and in different places. And it was worked like, so it was another servers in Germany, in Belgium. So it was a bit kind of like a concept. And then the idea was to convert the digital communication into the DNA code to implement into real cells. But it was very complicated and expensive, so it was realized only as a metaphor, as an idea, but not as a final physical realization. Yeah, and I used for this like a Scala programming language that was produced by MIT students in 2016. Yeah, I will show it somewhere here because it's like they have a GitHub, they have an open source, like an explanation of everything that they did, and everybody could try this thing and read about it. And here's how I explain in the data collection and why we need to be aware of it. And here's like some examples of good projects that I have as an examples of working with data and awareness of it. I don't know how much time we have, so maybe I will go ahead to tell about our current stage. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so like in case of data and centralized servers of data that is kind of ruling us, Google's, it's a nice project that was produced on a residency that I was in Netherlands, made from Impact institution. And the project Google's is about like just add-on for Google that is like showing you and blocking for you any website that is using your data, your information, and it's also showing you in which way it's using your data, like for what kind of needs, like for like analyzing the markets or what to propose you next or whatever. So like, and in general, it's like a joke. So it's like showing you that you couldn't really use the internet. So it's like 90% of websites is blocked for you. Then it's works of Dmytro that I know personally, and his works like a memopole, like 3 iterations of his works is quite inspiring for me in the way how he's working with the personal data of visitors, because first iteration, he was catching the data from ID cards of the visitors. Firstly, it was only Estonian, and then it was also made in Germany in Ars Electronica, so he catched also data from not only Estonian ID cards. And like then he showed to the visitors how much data is possible to catch from you just from your ID card. So like for that moment, people didn't really aware about how much data could be stolen from you and stored into very centralized, like for example, how much information government could catch from you. Yeah. And another one, it's like a Netflix series, Netflix movie about like a documentary about data, which is also telling about the same stuff. So like in here, I made a shim of the journey of the data from input into the physical impact to the people, to our minds, to the ideas, to the societies, whereas like in between, it's like different types of data, like different digital entities that is created from us. It could be like Instagram accounts, any other types of digital entities that could be created like in 3D, 2D, whatever. And then it's lots of different algorithms and which is working with a huge databases that is like we as a human couldn't really process this amount of data. So we kind of couldn't really force these algorithms because they're much more powerful in ways that they could process this data than the people who could who have these algorithms. So in this way, I'm a bit scary of all of these things. It was a bit of explanation of the server part of that project, but I think it's needs a bit more time to explaining how the systems in the servers that we made was work. So I will just go ahead and here I captured some questions that we wanna question ourselves in the projects that we're gonna produce now. So we wanna continue the Decentraland idea in another way, collecting new data and rethinking what type of data we want to collect. So like, yeah, here's like three of these questions. Because for me now, the question of knowledge about the data is very important, because we are storing more and more garbage, like our information. We don't really think about what the impact it has when we're storing our data, our messages, images. There is like ecological, political, economical impact to the environment, to the society. So yeah, in this case,
so this is your proposal for what you will be, how you will be working now.
Yeah, it's kind of like questions that we wanna ask ourselves, and proposal is like continuing the Decentraland as a like metaphor of like a garden that is collecting data in itself. Yeah, maybe I will just name some main questions that I have here. Yeah, like for example, what new technologies and realities could give us in a way of storing, thinking, and exchanging the data, like three-dimensional technologies, VR, AR, XR, and AI, what it could help us, or is it useless in case of working with data? Is it like making it just more polluted in any possible ways, like ecological way, because we now just uncontrollably storing huge amount of data, and we couldn't really bother ourselves in this case, I think. So yeah, and one of the questions, like, what's the role of nature? Could the nature be this boundaries for our digital environments? So yeah. Also, I wanted to raise up a question of hidden occupation. It's like for these times that we spent here and in Liepaja, when we were told about the border in the sea and how the sea is trying to bring their lands back, and that is kind of a bit invisible processes, and also about the occupation of air, which is also for humans. For people who's living, it's not that visible, because like when somebody is building factories and these factories is not working in a proper way, they kind of like polluting the air, and it's not that visible. We kind of can't see this right now. Like we could see impact like on our health or on our like behavior. Maybe like in 10-20 years we will see the new color of the air, but for now it's impossible. So it's kind of like this hidden occupation, hidden invasion that also was like, I could comparing it to the situation with us, like as Ukrainians who had like the hidden occupation since the beginning of the Ukrainian independence. So it could also comparable, because we didn't see this like occupation of culture, of language, that I also mentioned here. So also like some things that I mentioned, spending here more than a week, I heard lots of people who speak in Russian language, who I also felt this Russian culture of the people who don't want to be learn the local cultures, the local language, be integrated into, so they just frame their narratives, which is like also a part of this hidden occupation for me. When the huge, powerful system could occupy you, like having much more resources, power, money, whatever, like as humans occupying the nature, because like we think in that nature not that smart, nature don't have a conscious, nature is kind of on a lower level than we are, so we could occupy it. And in this case, like, again, yeah, I think I have lots of comparisons with Russia in case of they were telling for all of the countries that they occupied that they're not that smart, their culture not important, and it's kind of give them more rights to occupy something. And this occupation was always made in a kind of hidden way. So for me, hidden occupation is something the topics that I want to think about more. And unconscious occupation, because again, in case of Russians, all of them who's now spread for around the world, they could think that they're doing something good, but in general, they just sharing the same point of view as like government in Russia, but it's unconscious occupation as like we as humans occupying the nature without knowing, because in the things that we don't know about something, it's don't give us a right to do it. Like we polluting the air, we doing lots of bad things in case of nature, and sometimes we're doing it not consciously just because we don't know about it. So like for me, it's also kind of like a question of unconscious and hidden occupations that became important to work with it. So yeah, maybe the last thing, it's like few references of the project that we want to produce. Is it like based, still based on an idea of the terrarium as a like space where the data could be collected and translated into the digital visual way. So for me, the most important is to make the exchange and collecting of the data transparent, that visitors could realize the values of the data, all of the values, so they realize how hard is it, like political values of the data, ecological values of the every byte that the data has. So in this case, I think the form of terrarium of some natural species that could be there, it could be a good metaphor still for this. And we also discussed about the ideas that we could create a work where the visitors could decentralize some systems that we will create as a centralized terrarium in a way, for example, as USB flash or cartridges or disks that you could kind of catching part of this centralized system, make it less centralized. Like, for example, you could take part of this terrarium on your some like different type of I don't know, USB flash or disk, and to make then research this data or like work with it, kind of be more aware of it, of this part of data, and like all of the visitors could kind of like destroy this centralized system and made it decentralized in a way. Yeah. So I think that's kind of like this basic short explanation of research that we are doing for the moment right now.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. Maybe some questions.
Yeah, if somebody have questions.
Yeah.
I've just learned about this project just now, so maybe I've not understood everything, but I have a feeling that it's sort of trying to map kind of different means of technology, how centralized systems work, and to work out some kind of a guerrilla kind of alternative approach to how to live within the system or kind of compete with it. And you look at it from an angle of, let's say, kind of these government structures, and then also, let's say, kind of political, especially kind of totalitarian approaches, and kind of cultural background and the war experience, and seeing as inspiration through nature. And it has also a little bit this Decentraland, sort of a little bit of kind of a connection with these ideas of these mesh networks or alternative finance, this decentralized finance, or that kind of stuff, sort of kind of a alternative networks.
Yeah, it's something that I forgot to mention, but I mention it every time because, like, blockchain is like transparent technology. It's not that complicated than it is because it's lots of different angles and factors that is need to be upgraded. Like blockchain was worked very well on a time of when people decided like to decentralize the exchange of the money and financial resources. And it was really worked at the beginning. It was really on the way of people who, in this, for lots of people, it was very chaotic because it's raised up from the dark net. And at the beginning, it was like for exchanging, like selling drugs and so on. But at the beginning, it's really worked till the moment when governments, especially like US government and their companies, became scary of losing their power in a way of like that our bank systems could be useless. No, like we need to control it. So like in any way is also something that I was thinking a lot that all of, and it's not only one example of blockchain and Bitcoin and all of the system, because all of the system at the beginning, they could be like very nice, very decentralized and chaotic in a good way. And then when they come into some scale, they becoming kind of evaded by systems because it's still much more powerful. It's very hard to confront to them. So maybe we want to like try to find some new questions and maybe new answers to this, because it's quite important to make the sustainability of continuing producing the scale of the systems, I think so. But yeah, it's this example of changing the money at the beginning of sense.
And also, as we briefly talked about these autonomous systems, because how you think they are, well, real autonomous systems, of course, would be very helpful for you. Maybe you can also, work somehow with that, because definitely Elon Musk, it failed, but maybe Marco Pelkan with his ideas, what I mentioned with the artist about his macro lab and alternative energy systems. So I'm still running the satellites and all these communication technologies could be useful, I think.
Yeah. In this case, it's need to be part, because like everything is coming together, like hardware and software solutions. Like all of hardware solutions also need to be produced like in a way of exchanging something that we have now, because it's still this roots of hardware systems that is already very deep. It's hard to kind of dig them out like an exchange for something new. So to create a new internet or new something that could exchange it, it's also very important in the case of also some digital and software solutions. The same, but maybe it's it's Also very, very hard, but very important in a way.
Yeah, and as an artist, you can make the prototypes and visions.
Yeah.
Have to, your
Yes.
satellite network. You
I
know.
can make the first step.
Yeah. Especially we have Danil, who is very knowledgeable in like Arduino and
Maybe
all
that has something to say.
yeah, Dan, are you here? I'm trying to check if he's still. Yeah, he's here, but he's muted.
Yep,
If you-
yep, I'm here.
Oh, yeah. If you want to say something like about the topic or
Centralized.
about the centralized systems, your thoughts, point of view. Yeah.
I think it's more large information and it's more about hour or 2 hour. But yeah, for this project, it's main point for me, for Alex, I think, is decentralized all system and work with each system like with the I know like with the UniQ system, yeah, and this UniQ system can impact part of logic to another system, and this step recursively doing for each system in this global system, yeah, and we just mixed all logic, all parameters, constants, and trying to create the global world like with not enormous parameter. I don't know how I could say it. Maybe not unique parameter. This all parameter are unique. All parameter are enormous, yeah, for us. And yeah, I think if we have more time, I could show some principles and some part of logic, how it works and how it, yeah.
Yeah, we are still in residency for 6 months, almost till February, and then in May we are showing the work in Milan, also there will be final presentation, so we definitely will include anything else from here, so you will have a chance to make it.
Super.
Already have ideas how we could visualize it in a way. So like we also now thinking a lot about sustainability of our works and projects, because like in case of Ukrainian artists, when your works could be destroyed in a second, especially big works that we were produced with our community for many years, we realized that it's a bit useless. That is like the work that is not transportable, that is, and especially now that we don't have that much resources that we had because in Ukraine, we need to make everything quite portable, transportable, and smart in a way. So it's also a good task for us. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for this part. And now you are invited to take a glass of prosecco or wine and pizza, and you can also already push the button of stop, and then you come back.
Yeah, just a
we
few.
make like there, like 5, yeah.
Yeah, just a few words. What is gonna be like? We're gonna like show a performance of Media Club. Media Club is a part of Fortinu Studio, like group.
It's a musical band based on Fortinu Studio.
And everybody could be invited there because it's like a lab where we're experimenting with sound, with different instruments. It's no limits, no borders. It could be from 1 participant to thousands. We hadn't got like thousands, but it's interesting concept that is like based not on a specific people, but in everybody could be involved. So it's one of the performances that was done in New York. It's a documentation of it. So it's kind of like media club as it is right now, because lots of participants is in Kiev, some of the participants spread in Europe, so we needed to find a solutions how to connect each other online, and our unique way of dealing with our instruments, because in this performance, like I'm doing sound with Unity, like using Game of Life code that I just took from this game from 80s, 90s to generate sound for me. Dima made it in his way. I don't really what we used there.
No, I use Maximinski for logic and just synthesize it for the sound. But yeah, the main idea that to connect our members and play offline, online performances together, and give the opportunity to the members who are still in Ukraine to perform new our performances together in the new countries.
And when did you do this performance?
It was February. Yeah, it was last February.
It was 2 members physically from like members, founders.
What do you mean last? Which year? This?
2023.
This year?
Yeah,
This year. I mean,
this year.
yeah.
The beginning of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we made kind of like we made one performance in Milan, in Estonia, like
Yeah,
with
it
the
was,
support of
it was
Timo.
second performance, and
Yeah.
Timo also
Was
gives
involved.
some advice. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it was nice. The first one was in Frankfurt when I was like, making an exhibition, and it was also good to see the reaction of people first time when they saw like Max, who was also part of the performance, who was already in the front line, like was in our institute. So, yeah.
Бажаю здоров'я. Я старший лейтенант Абрамов, позивний робот. Даю наказ починати. Дівчинка, ви готові? Якщо так, можете починати. Музикальний вступ буду вважати за позитивну відповідь. Полянськова. Наказую вам приєднатися до виконання. Чекаю цілкового підтвердження. наказує світличному на основі даних, що пропонує Полянського та Івченка, генерувати свої частини, використовуючи програмне забезпечення максимум співжиток. Час виконання наказу 1 хвилина. Контроль за виконанням наказу покласти на відповідальну теоретичну частину світличного. Ваша пропозиція стосовно використання ритмічної почти була прийнята. Пропозиції щодо вашого вкладу в роботу свого складу. Чекаю відповідь впродовж 1 хвилини. Радий, що ви приєдналися до нас. Після того, як Тентюк зробить свою пропозицію, буду чекати другову пропозицію від вас. Орієнтуйтесь по приборам. Хотілося б почути роботу Тентюка. Наказує йому збільшити гучність своєї музичної партії. Зважаючи на почути, дозволяю показати свою звукову пропозицію щодо нашого виконання. Чекаю від вас звукової відповіді. пропозиція від Тентюка отримана. Це не ускладнену звуковою пропозицію від цикличного. Підтвердить отримання наказу. Наказує цикличному, використовуючи отримані дані, ускладнити роботу з циклом. Час виконання наказу негайно. Наступний наказ стосується всього особового складу, окрім Івченка та Полянськової. Тентюк, Світличний та Сирous. Згідно плану наказую вам зробити паузу на 1 хвилину, після чого продовжити грати музику до подальшого розпорядження. Час виконання наказу негайно. склад задіяний зараз. Наказую вам на рахунок 3 повернутися до виконання своїх посадових обов'язків, що стосується консультації колишнього Сирауса. Рахую. 1, 2, 3. Наступ на опал, продовжується з рішучістю та напором. Підготуйтесь до виконання завдання. Наказую через хвилину почати послідовно зменшувати гучність. Поки наша присутність не стане повністю невидима. Дякую всім за гарне виконання завдання. Слава Україні!
Thank you. Yeah, now the funny thing that we have a concert now in Ukraine in the west, in a Carpathian area, like a media club, like a small one, and we wanted like to play live from here, but we realized that it could be something unpredictable and it's harder to manage. So Dima went a bit kind of like to connect online to the guys who is there. So it's kind of.
Can we say something of it?
I will ask if it's possible to which. So yeah, and also like the Dania told me because he's lost the connection. So I think he's left Zoom. That he wanted also to add that we already have lots of projects when we tried to make a decentralized systems, but it was very complicated and we always coming into the circle, getting back to centralized systems as a like, our brain is kind of like pushing us to the comfortable centralized solutions like blockchain or any other things was always getting to the cycle, getting back to. So it's still this complicated task to trying to get out from it that we will try to achieve because it's yeah could help our ecology and not only and all of other fields